You just got to get on with it. You do it. If you don't do it, no one else is going to do it for you. So even in the lowest moments of my life, I've got to get on that radio. It's showtime. 6 o'clock, I'm on. The first 5 years in this country, I knew what I needed to do. I needed to create a brand for myself. I wanted to execute the best radio show that I could ever do.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Once again, we're joined by an amazing guest today. For years, many across the UAE have been waking up to his unique voice. Him, alongside with his team, can actually make your morning commute to work enjoyable. If you didn't already guess, yes, I'm talking about the one and only Kris Fade. Man, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. A pleasure and honor. What a welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. It's always good to have you.
Thank you. It's always good to be here.
So, I want to talk a little bit. There's plenty that we want to talk about today.
Sure.
But to start with, I want to go back in time a little bit. We've had the time to talk off camera, and you've got some really interesting stories about your upbringing, your background. Take us a little bit back. Tell us who's Kris Fade, where do you come from, your background, all of that stuff.
Kris Fade's actually Kristen George Fahad. I come from a Lebanese family. My parents migrated to Australia when they were younger, and we grew up in Sydney, Australia. Beautiful Lebanese family living in Australia. That's where I come from. And I went to school, didn't go to college. After school, I didn't really feel like I knew what I wanted to do. I was 17, 18 years old at the time. I was like, I didn't go too well either. Parents wanted me to repeat school. They wanted me to do my final grade again to get enough grades to go into college. I nearly did that, but I opted not to. So I went to what they call in Australia TAFE, which is sort of like if you can't get into college, you go to TAFE.
Absolutely.
And I only went there because I didn't know what I wanted to do at that age. And I feel like we get pressured sometimes at the age of 17 or 18 that you got to know what you want to do with your life right now.
Especially by Middle Eastern parents.
100%. Middle Eastern parents are the best at it. They're like, what are you? You'll be a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, an engineer. My dad always wanted me to be a pilot, right? So I went into TAFE and I did marketing for a little bit. I got a little diploma in it, 2-year course, short. I really just played and hung around with my mates, really. And then after I finished that, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Sure. So I worked in a cafe for 4 years, making coffee, cutting sandwiches up, part-time, washing cars for a company called Crystal Car Wash. I was I used to dry the cars that came through. And I did that for about 5 years. I had a really good time doing it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I was finding myself. Eventually, I used that marketing diploma that I had to get a job. And within about a year of working for this company, the boss called me into her office. She says, man, I don't feel like this job's for you. I said, what do you mean? She goes, I don't know. I just don't feel like this corporate office job is for you. She said, I was driving to work today and I heard a commercial on the radio station, our local radio station, that they were looking for someone to drive their promotional radio car around. And she says, I feel like this is something that you'd be really good at. So in a way, she wanted to get rid of me, I felt, at the same time. But something clicked and I thought, you know what? Let's give it a go. So I applied for this radio job for our local radio station called The Edge 96.1. And after probably about 200-300 applicants, they cut it down to the top 5. The 5 of us had to work for that radio station for free for 2 weeks, do ridiculous challenges. Like I had to go to the ghetto train station, take my shirt off.
I heard of that.
Yep, and they had to stick butter and biscuits on my body. I had to get random people coming up from the train station. They wanted to see how much you wanted this job.
Right.
Anyway, 2 weeks go by. They call us into the studio. They announce the winner. It's not me. I didn't get the job. And at that time, I remember feeling really down about it.
I was going to say, did that demotivate you?
100%. I thought I had it. I felt like I had it. They gave it to another girl who I'm now friends with. Her name's Kimiko, and she was fantastic. However, a month into that, they give me a call, program director, and says, hey, Kris, you know how you didn't get the job? I said, yeah. They said, would you like it? And I said, why? What happened? The girl realized it wasn't the job for her. We're looking for someone else. Would you be interested? I said 100%. So that's where my radio journey began. It began driving a promotional vehicle for nearly 4.5 years across Sydney. And I would drive the car to 3 different locations across Sydney every day and I would give away free chips, free drinks, whatever it was. I'd then drive the car back home, fill it up with gas, put it into the car park, wash and clean the area where all the prizes were every day for the radio station. And I did it for 4 years, but that's when I realized I had a key, I had access to one of the biggest radio networks in Australia. Even though I was downstairs just driving the promo car around, I started talking to the presenters. And the presenters are usually cool, the radio guys, right? So after a few years, they got to know me. And they're like, yo, what are you doing? Why don't you come up, hang out with us? So now I'm in the radio studio, and I'm like, whoa, I'm in a radio studio. And I used to watch these presenters do their shows at night or during the day. And I used to watch from afar and learn how it sort of happened. And then eventually a few of the presenters sort of pulled me aside and said, is this something you think you want to do? And I said, yeah, who doesn't want to be on the radio? And so I learned the craft by watching them. Right. And then about 4 years after I was driving the promotional car around, one of the program directors said to me, we're going to put you on 12 a.m. till 5 a.m. every single day. So they call it the graveyard shift. It's horrible because you're obviously on from midnight to 5 a.m. But that was my foot in the door. That was my first taste of radio. And that's where my radio career began.
You never thought you were going to enter that field. You just kind of fell into it.
Man, I grew up with a lisp. I used to talk like this.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you overcome it? Because I did too. Well, till now, a lot of my brothers poke fun at me. They say I have a lisp till today.
There are still some words when I'm on the radio talking that I may say, and my co-host, Pretty and Rossi, were like, ha! I feel like I'm back in high school. I overcame it just by, I remember my Uncle Sam used to tell me, just put the tongue behind your teeth. So I used to really practice that. Right. So I never thought I would use my voice as a career, right? And then, yeah, I fell into the job, but I loved it, and I don't even call it a job. I'm actually obsessed with it. So I did 4 years on Sydney radio, and then I got to the point where I wanted to expand, and I work for Virgin Radio Dubai now. The CEO of Virgin Radio International, we have over 20 radio stations across the world. He's Australian. And my boss at the time knew him.
We're talking about Sir Richard Branson?
No, it's actually a guy called Ian Grace, who reports to Branson, right? So he's the CEO of Virgin Radio International. He runs all the radio stations when it comes to Virgin across the world. We have them in Italy, Thailand, Canada, obviously here in Dubai, Oman, they're everywhere, right? And he said to me, they're opening up a radio station in Dubai, Virgin Radio. It's the first Virgin radio in the Middle East. I thought to myself, you know what? Dubai sounds really good. I had a meeting with the CEO of Virgin Radio, and I still remember I wanted this job. So I wore a suit jacket and I buttoned it up, and underneath I had a white t-shirt, and I had Dubai, 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 Dubai. I just wrote Dubai all over it. So I sat, I did the interview, and at the end I said, Ian, I have Dubai written all over me, because I had the words Dubai written all over my shirt. And obviously something clicked with him. He liked me. He called me up probably a couple of weeks later and he said, I've got 2 jobs, choose one. Do you want to go to Kuala Lumpur? We've got a radio station there. Or do you want to go to Dubai?
And you chose Dubai.
10 years ago, there wasn't too much on Dubai, but I chose Dubai.
Why'd you choose Dubai?
I thought it was 4 hours from Lebanon. Right. I'd improve my Arabic, come to the roots a little bit. Dubai always had that wow factor to it.
So you've been living in Dubai for the past 10 years. What does Dubai, or even the UAE as a whole, mean to Kris Fade?
Dubai is a city like no other, and I say it all the time. I feel like, I was speaking to the guys from Dubai Tourism recently. I said, I feel like I'm an ambassador for Dubai. And they said, we look at you as an ambassador for Dubai. When I sit down with all the celebrities and I start talking about Dubai, their passion, you can see in their eyes as well for a city that they've just met. And I go to them, you've just met our city. Start a relationship and then you'll fall in love with Dubai, because it's so true. It's one of the safest cities in the world. My kids can go to school and I know that they're safe. I earn great money here. Everything that I've wanted, the city does everything they can to make you feel at home. I hosted the Pope's visit when he was here, the Pope in Abu Dhabi. I was sitting there and I was like, this is amazing. We have every religion under the sun together in a stadium of 30,000 people watching the Pope give service in an Islamic country. And it was the best morning ever. And I thought to myself, nowhere in the world would that happen except the UAE. So I had no intentions of leaving. I work for an amazing company called ARN, which is the Arabian Radio Network. We've become family, you know, and when you go through things like a divorce or a health scare or whatever it is, that's when you can test your company out. And they've always come through 110%. So right now, Dubai is home. I will look out my window and see that Burj Khalifa standing nice and tall, and I go, ah.
Well, that was a moment of goosebumps, to be honest. You came here a single man.
Yeah. Actually, no, I came here married.
You came here married.
Yeah. So I met my the mother to my daughters 6 months prior to leaving to come to Dubai.
Okay.
And as I came out here, I said, well, if we're going to go live together, we're going to get married. So we got married. And I had 2 beautiful girls. And then 7 years into that marriage, we divorced. And
How difficult was that on you? I know you've spoken about it.
Oh man, divorce is horrible. Divorce is, I haven't really met anyone that says, oh, divorce is great. It was amazing. I want to do it again. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we've grown from it. I think we've both matured. I think it was a good thing that we divorced, you know, and our girls are our priority.
Sure.
And just making sure that they're happy and 100% healthy and got everything that they've got. But sometimes in life, you grow apart. And I've learnt that, you know, I've learnt that as you mature and as you change, it's okay for things to change in your life. And we all have this is what your life should be. You get married, you have children, you do this. And, you know, coming from a Lebanese family, I was the first one to ever get divorced. You know, my parents are like, what do you mean you're getting divorced? I'm like, well, I'm getting divorced. It was a mutual thing and it just happened.
Okay. Now, I actually spoke to a couple of people in the past few days that knew that you were coming today for the interview. And I was actually asked to ask you a couple of questions. One of them was related to the divorce, which is, how do you stay focused? How do you not let it bring you down? How do you not get caught up in all of the negativity that's associated with the divorce, whether it's legal issues or not? So, and not just that, but all the challenges that you've gone through. You've gone through quite a lot. One of them being the divorce, of course. How does Kris deal with that?
You just got to get on with it. You do it. If you don't do it, no one else is going to do it for you. So even in the lowest moments of my life, I've got to get on that radio at showtime. 6 o'clock, I'm on. I got 1.1 million listeners every single week on Virgin Radio. I've got to make sure that I'm satisfying their needs. Someone may have just been diagnosed with cancer driving to work. Someone may have just lost their father. They turn the radio on for that 1 hour escape. And it's my duty to make sure that happens. I still remember the moment that I found out that my auntie, my godmother, took her life with her husband in Sydney together. 10 minutes before I got on the radio, I got the call. And I said, you know, they let me know. They said, they're not around anymore. I was heartbroken.
You still went on air?
Went on air and delivered the show. No one would have ever seen that. Same with my divorce, in and out of court. I had to take myself to Australia and do my show from Australia for a month whilst we were going through the courts there. You know, but you get on and, you know, for me, I think it's really important to that mindset. I'm focused, man. And I put something up on Instagram the other day that discipline, you're not born with discipline. You've got to learn how to be disciplined and you've got to want it. You know, going to the gym every day. You and I were talking off this about going to the gym and just training. Like, I'd rather be sitting on the couch eating my favorite double cheese, double mushroom pizza, watching Friends on Netflix or something. You know what I mean? But instead, we are disciplined. I'm disciplined enough to get to the gym. And what I've realized going through a divorce, that no one else is going to do it for you. No one's going to push you forward. You're the one that has to go through the battle of the courts. You're the one that has to make sure that your kids are okay. You're the one that has to make sure that there's money still on the table. You're the one that has to pay for your kids' schooling. No one's going to do it for you. I don't have the luxury of calling up my mum and dad and saying, yo, I need some cash, deliver it through to me. You know? So this is the reason why I feel like I do it and I want to push that across to the listeners, my Instagram followers, anyone that I see.
Speaking of your listeners, and you were just saying now that you had the show, you had to deliver it. You're up real early in the morning. I think something like 4 a.m.
Yep.
You're having to keeping people excited, entertained. How do you do it? A lot of people ask, how do you do it? How do you stay that disciplined? How do you get up in the morning? Walk us through your morning routine.
All right, alarm goes off at 4:20.
Team 5 a.m. or something?
Team 5 a.m. is real, man. I every morning, if you follow me on Instagram, every morning you'll get a Team 5 a.m.
I literally thought you were just recycling the same picture. So that's a new one every morning?
Every morning. I know I wear black a lot, as you can see. So people think it's the same photo. No, I wake up at 4:20 every single morning. It's never easy to get up at that time. I've been getting up at that time for 8 years. You don't get used to it. You know, I get up. I shower. I'm outside the house within about 25 minutes. I'm pretty prepared the night before. I hit my car, stop on the gas station, go to Zoom, get myself a coffee. It's a ritual. I like my rituals. I like normality.
Right.
You know, I like to have things happen. I park my car. As I park my car, I put my meter in and make sure I've got enough parking. I walk in that elevator. I take Team 5 a.m. By that time, it's about 10 past 5. You know, and then I walk straight into the studio where I see Pretty Malik and Big Rossi and Phone Guy Eddie, who are there, part of the show. We sit down together. We work out what's happening on the show. We've already prepared it the night before or the week before, but we run through our radio show. And then 6 o'clock is live, and we are on, man. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad. We're live across the country. This is Virgin Radio, because I know that there are people who need that energy. I want to be their coffee. I want to give them that pump. And I think that's one of the successes of why we have done so well at Virgin Radio. And we've been doing that. We're the longest lasting morning show in the UAE. We've been together now for 8 years. I've been on for 10, and it's every day and it's consistent. You turn on Virgin, bang. I still get messages from people going, I live in Germany right now, man. I miss you. I used to listen to you 6 years ago. Or if I'm in LA, I was in LA a couple of weeks ago. I'm walking the streets. I'm in, where was I? Beverly Hills area. And this lady come up, Kris, oh my gosh, I love you. I'm like, how you know me? Because I lived in Dubai for 6 years. You were my every morning day commute. We live back in LA, and I love that. That's what I love doing. So we're on from 6 till 10. Then we stay in that studio for an hour or so, just doing preparation for the next show, pre-recording, getting what we've got to get done, and then the day is mine. I hit the gym. My 11:30 is my gym time. 11:30 to 1 is my time most of the time. I try not to put any meetings in there, any commitments. I just need that time to shut off and work on myself. As you know, I was fairly overweight back in the day. I was 128 kilos, and health became my sort of vision. So 6 days a week, I like to get into the gym and focus on myself. After that, there's meetings for the company, there's meetings for myself, my personal commitments, hanging out with the kids. And that's a day, every day, and we do it every day, and I'm blessed to be able to do it every day.
You just mentioned Beverly Hills.
Yep.
You've been associated with a lot of celebrities. Will Smith helped you get engaged,
yep,
I believe. And I looked at your Instagram. It's amazing the lineup of celebrities that you've been hanging around with. With all of that going on, you still decided to step out of that a little bit, which is what I want to talk to you about now.
Sure.
And it's Kris Fade gone from being a radio personality associated with all the celebrities. People who would look at you from the surface would think, you know what? He's reached a certain level of success. He's got it all. But it's not enough for you. You've now gone into another field, the crazy unknown world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Why would you do that when you have this going on? And tell us a little bit more about FadeFit products and all that stuff.
Interesting. You know, I sat down with Robbie Williams. Do you know Robbie Williams? You know, sold out Wembley, I think, 4 times in a row. He's amazing, right? Had never met him before. And I had an interview with him. And there I am in Dubai, beautiful beach backdrop. He rocks up wearing his Versace shirt and his Versace pants. He had his blinged out sort of glasses. And we got talking, and, you know, great interview. And he's fantastic. I actually love him more. I loved him before, but now that I've sat down with him for half an hour, I love him even more. And he said something to me which I loved. I said to him, we talked about his outfit, and I said to him, what's the most expensive thing you buy? Like, what do you got? You got money? I said, you mustn't think when you buy this sort of stuff about the dollar figure. He goes, no, I do. I go, what do you mean you do? He goes, well, even when I bought this shirt, which would have been about a $400 shirt, he thinks about the price. This guy's worth a couple of $100 million. And I said, you still think that? He goes, it's in me. I'll always have that feeling of this is costing a lot, you know? And he goes, it makes me want to work more. It makes me want to continue touring. It makes me want to keep selling out shows because I always want the cash flow. So I know that if I'm buying these things, these cars, these shirts, that I've got the money coming back. So this actually drives me to work harder. And that was ironic because I was thinking the other day, now that I have more money than I did 10 years ago, I'm still that same guy. If I'm buying something that may be a little bit expensive, I go through the guilt process, and then I've got to tell myself, you worked hard for it, you want it. So to bring it back to these products, I knew that radio was my passion and I loved it. And I'll be doing radio till the day I die, touch wood. But I wanted a different stream of income. And I do a lot of presenting and a lot of hosting events and appearances, which gives me other income, which is fantastic. But I knew I wanted something else. And I didn't go searching for the snacks. This didn't just fly to me and go, oh, this is what I want to do. It came one day when I was walking with my girls, Nushi and Kiki, through a Carrefour aisle, and I lost a lot of weight and I was on a health kick. So gone were the days where I was throwing chocolate cookies and crisps into my trolley. It was more of the healthier options. And I was looking after myself. And then I realized my girls, my own daughters, I'm not looking after their health enough. So I went to go get them healthy snacks for kids. And I found that the pricing of healthy snacks for kids was through the roof. It wasn't affordable. It wasn't attainable. Yes, I could afford it because I earn a decent income. But I knew that a lot of my friends around me, a lot of the population here in the UAE, for example, couldn't afford to feed their kids those healthy packeted snacks. So I kept looking, and then I started doing my research. I go to different shopping centers, and that clicked to me. I said, you know what? I think this is what I want to do. I got on my own radio show, and I spoke to my girls, Nushi and Kiki, and we created a healthy kid snack. And I used the 1.1 million listeners that we have on the radio, the mums, the dads, the kids, to help me create an SKU to help create a snack.
So your audience was your R&D pretty much.
100%. They told me what they like, what flavors they thought they should have. Hey, it shouldn't have peanuts because kids can't eat peanuts in schools because of the allergies. And hey, Kris, I don't want this. I don't want no GMO, no preservatives, no sugar, please, Kris. So we put it all together. I teamed up with a great company, and we executed this. And we executed on the radio. We launched it, and we launched it at Carrefour. Carrefour approached us as I approached them, and they said, we're here to support you. We believe in the product. We believe in what you're doing. You're a local company. Let's push it. So there we were selling across Carrefour. And then since then, we're now selling more than 500 outlets across the UAE. We've grown from just kids snacks, and I'll make an announcement soon with you, to kids multivitamins. So now we've got the kids snacks, the kids multivitamins. They're affordable and they're a healthier option. And they're my two key pillars that I run with. I want them to be affordable. I want them to be a healthier option. All right. And of course, I want the kids to actually like them, because that's the hardest thing when it comes to being healthy with kids.
Now, what's interesting about all this is I've been following your journey as an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of growth. You're very active with what you're doing. You're very consistent.
Good.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I spoke to, I was using you as an example actually, and they said things like, well, Kris Fade, he probably had a lot of money or investment to be able to put into it. And we're talking about entrepreneurs, people who aspire to be entrepreneurs. And did you actually have to raise investment for this? Did you pump in a lot of money for this?
No.
Okay. And this is what I want to talk to you about, which is the resourcefulness.
Yep.
So when it came to your R&D, you looked around, you used your audience. When it came to investment, you didn't have to seek out investment, you just did.
My money.
Okay.
My money. Was it a lot of money? No. Obviously, I have a great connection here in the UAE with my radio show and who I am in this country, which took me 10 years to build. A lot of people think that, oh yeah, Kris Fade. Oh yeah, everyone knows Kris Fade. I came to this country, I knew no one. I only came with my ex-wife, that's it. I knew no one in this country, right? I still remember walking through a radio station, not knowing anyone. But over the first 5 years in this country, I knew what I needed to do. I needed to create a brand for myself. I wanted to execute the best radio show that I could ever do. My first program director, my first boss said something to me. Don't try to be funny, don't try to be famous. You try to do that, you'll achieve none. Put out a great product and they'll come to you. And that stuck with me at the age of 24. Because I was like, that makes sense. So I got on the radio and just made sure that I did the best radio show that I could have ever done. And 10 years ago, I was doing radio that they hadn't really heard in this country before, you know. And I'd like to say thanks to my parents who gave me the personality, and my uncles and aunties being in a Lebanese family to give me the personality to be able to do what I do on the radio, you know. And our radio is wholesome. It's family friendly. It's PG, I like to say. Mum and dad can listen to it in the car with the kids, but then a 26-year-old from Liverpool can listen to it at the same time. He'll find it funny. So it's joining the UAE together. We're such a multicultural country. We've got all the different religions, cultures here. I wanted to do a show that matches that. You know, and so I didn't know anyone, but now 10 years later that I know everyone, I start reaching out. Contacts is what it's about. Finding the right people and meeting the right people. So if I know that I know someone that I want to get at, hey, I want to meet with the guy. Will he meet with me? It's Kris Fade. Oh yeah, let's meet. Of course, the doors open a little bit easier, right? To have Kris Fade appear and open a store, there's a monetary value to that. So there's a monetary value for me to be attached to your brand as well. So I like to work in synergy with different companies. And right now I've surrounded myself with an amazing distribution company called ESF, an amazing agency called Imagine. So these two guys are the backbone of what FadeFit is all about. They're an agency that helps me manage this. They do the day-to-days. And then I've got ESF, who are the biggest distributors in the country, one of them, right? So I know that they're doing it, and they take a percentage of the sales. It's the best way that I could have structured it, because why? I'm a radio guy. I don't have the time to sit there every single day. Now, FadeFit actually has a few employees as well. Now, what they do, they're my eyes and ears, and they're the ones that relay the information from the distributor to the Imagine, for example, to them, and then it comes to me. So it's this little sort of connector, and we're all working in cycles together. What I love to do is open doors and get opportunities. If I feel like I want to be somewhere, I'll find out who I need to talk to get there. Then I'll set a meeting up. It's up to my guys to close the deal, you know, and I like to feel that if they're attached with my brand, they're attached with me, and that's good for both of us. Right.
Well, we do have a friend in common, and now that you're talking about leveraging your contacts and your network, Mustafa Koita.
Great guy.
Koita Foods played a big role.
Huge role.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because Mustafa Koita was one of the first entrepreneurs that I interviewed here in Dubai.
I love him.
And I learned so much from him.
Yeah, really, really good guy. Now, if you don't know Mustafa Koita Organic Milks is what it started off with. Now he's got a whole range of milks, from almond to soy to lactose-free. He owns it. He just started distributing in the Philippines and a bunch of other countries. And it all started here. He employed me. He booked me to promote his milk. That's how I met him. So my manager called me, Karen, and said, hey, there's this milk company called Koita. Me thinking it was Japanese for some reason. I don't know why, right? They want you to help get their product, their brand out. Sure. So we did a deal, and Mustafa and I just clicked. You know when you click with people, I clicked with him. We just started talking, and over about a year, I was helping him promote this, and he became more of a friend. And then he said something to me as well. He said, you promote other people's brands a lot. Why don't you have your own brand for your kids? Because I asked him, what are you doing this for? He said, I'm doing it for my kids. I want to make sure that I want to give something to my kids when I get older. And that was a little light bulb moment. That's where it got it all stirring, and I was just looking for that idea that I wanted to do. So when I went to the shops and realized that the healthy snacks for kids was a market that I think I needed to get into, it sort of looped around to Koita, and I called him up. I'm like, yo, what do you think about healthy snacks, man? He's like, I love the idea. And then, that's where it all sort of formed, and he's given me some good guidance, Now, we still talk. And he's like, yo, where you at with things? I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, where are you at with yours? And the growth of our company has been phenomenal in the 2 years we've been around. And, from what I know and what I hear about numbers and where we are growth-wise within the industry, we're at a really, really good rate.
Okay, so let's talk numbers, if you can.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the numbers, the growth, which is very important. I want to know more about that, but also because you're introducing a new line of products, you're launching something new.
We are.
Soon.
Can I do it now?
Absolutely.
I actually haven't mentioned it anyway. This is the first time.
And what a better platform than Forbes.
100%. I thought, this is the best platform.
Tell us a bit more.
Obviously the kid snacks, which are here. We've got 3 SKUs for kid snacks, which one's a berry berry sort of base. The other one's just a date base, and the third one is a chocolate base. So they're the 3 kids snacks, our 3 kids SKUs. I would get messages every single day from an adult going, Kris, don't tell anyone, but I eat the kids snacks.
I finished the vitamins you gave me, by the way, and I felt horrible because I wanted to give them to my son.
And you got through them all.
I went through them all.
Well, that's the thing. The products taste great, and there's no reason why you can't eat them. It's the same products. It's not like we've got special ingredients just for the kids. They're just healthier snacks. So I realized that some adults, it was like they were feeling guilty for eating the kids' snacks, right? You felt guilty. Like, I still remember leaving a Zoom at the gas station. There was this big muscly dude sitting in his car, and he goes, "Oh, Kris." I go, "What?" And he just holds up the pink one, which was my favorite. He goes, "I'm eating the kids' snacks, man." This guy was bulked up, and I'm like, "Dude, that's amazing."
In a pink one.
In a pink one. He goes, "I love them. Is it okay?" I said, "Of course it's okay." So from this moment, obviously something clicked with us as a company, and I said, let's do adult snacks. Let's do snacks for everyone. So we have 4 SKUs, and let me just pop them to the front here. These are them now. Choco powder, coconut cashew, cocoa choco, and a hazelnut. And these are now snacks that are targeted towards the adult market, to the everyone market. Kids can eat these as well. So these are fantastic. They're a healthier option. They're more affordable than a lot of the snacks that are coming out right now. So these are officially launched now across the UAE. So now FadeFit and FadeFit Kids together, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 SKUs coming into the market. We started off as a kids snack company. We're now into the adult snack company. We've got the multivitamins, and there is more to be revealed over the next year, which we've already signed, sealed, and now we've just got to deliver it. So it's a growing market. My vision for this brand is obviously to be one of the biggest snack and healthy sort of companies within the GCC, and then I want to expand it into Europe and the States. I've already had a lot of interest from America. We have FDA approval on these products, which is fantastic. Actually, our multivitamins are made in New York City. So it's all coming together. It's a lot of hard work that I've got to do, but I want to get there. And one of the reasons why is because of that, again, that healthier, more affordable option. Here's the thing that I wanted to say, and I'm glad that we're here. Sometimes nutritionists, or really the healthy humans who I love, these guys are so amazing because they're so invested into themselves. They'll call and they'll send me a message, "Kris, but it's got a little bit of natural sugar in it," or "Kris, it's got something called maltitol, which is a sweetness sort of feel to it. That's not healthy. Here's the deal. I wanted to create a healthier option. I'm trying to get the kids off eating those chocolate biscuits, that chocolate spread, the crisps. I'm trying to move them from that to a healthier yet tastier option. And when you talk to the big guys, the leaders of these, they'll tell you the same thing. I can give you a product that is 0 in everything, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Kids will have one bite of it and say, "No, thank you." And they won't buy it again. Because at the end of the day, as a parent, as you are, if you fed your kids something and they went, "Nah," you're going to do it again. How often are you going to try to do it? So we've created an amazing formula with the brand. And I use my girls, Nushi and Kiki. I made one of them the general manager and the other one the finance controller.
I was actually going to ask you that because that's quite interesting. I was going to say you have an interesting general manager and CFO.
They are the bosses. They are here on set with us right now. They are watching this.
Absolutely.
They help us make the decisions of the company. So I would feed them and I would say, "What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Would you taste this? Yeah, I like it." Their friends would come over, would try it. I've made some great partnerships with EMA, for example. We're in Kidzania. So you can make our snacks in Kidzania, right? And that's so important for me because it allows me to see what the kids, if they do like it or if they don't like it. You know, there's a lot of things on the table.
I'll tell you something, honestly, as an entrepreneur myself, the passion that you have, and I don't know if anybody has told you this, but truly, genuinely speaking, I was just watching you right now and the passion that you have when you're talking
Thank
about
you.
your products and everything else. So congratulations on growing this company. And
Thank
I definitely
you.
wish you all the best with it.
Thank you.
And I'm a fan. Honestly, I'm a fan. And
I appreciate that.
I
man.
am going to save one for my son this time. Who are some of the celebrities that have left the biggest impact on you?
Of course, you mentioned earlier Will Smith. Will Smith helped me propose to my fiancée, Brianna, in Jordan. And I had reached out to Will. I had interviewed him a few times. And when I reached out to say, would you help me propose? I wasn't expecting a yes back. He's one of the biggest celebrities in the world. And the reply was like 100%. He's like, can I have a say on how we do it though? I was like, you're Will Smith. You can do whatever you want. And he came up with an amazing idea, which we executed. And my fiancée is going to be my wife very soon, Brianna. And he, for me, is, even after, when all the cameras were off and no one was around, you know, he said to me, man, like, this is a big decision. And I want to thank you so much for including me. And then he pulled Brianna and I aside. Again, no cameras were around. And he just said, what you guys have promised today is a promise that you'll live with for the rest of your life. I want you to do all you can to make sure that this promise stays. And I was like, gosh, this is amazing. We walked off and we're like, Will Smith. So there's something in my heart about Will Smith. And then just a few months ago, I was in Paris to interview him. And
for the Bad Boys.
For Bad Boys.
And
Martin Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence. I saw that.
Yeah, great movie. And he, as soon as he saw me, went, yo, there's my man. There's my man. Are we still good? We still getting married? And I'm like, of course we're getting married. And just those little things. So he's definitely, you know, he's got something in there. I'm a huge rock fan, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And
Sorry to interrupt. Now, this is important because last time I ran into you, you were telling me that you wanted the opportunity to talk to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Got it.
And you did it. I saw that a few days later. I was really excited.
You know, there are a selected few people that I follow and who I've been told, and I see it in my Instagram or on the radio, that I inspire people, and I love that. I love that because it inspires me to keep going. You fuel off from other people. The Rock is who I look up to a lot of the time. I'd never met The Rock in my life, but I loved his work ethic. This guy would be in the gym at 4 a.m. in the morning. Have I trained at 4 a.m. in the morning? 100%. Why? Because I go to myself, The Rock's doing it, I can do it, right? So there's something about his work ethic, the way that he treats other people. You can see that connection. I love his movies. I love his story. He came from nothing. He's now the highest paid, actor in Hollywood. He's got his own production company. He's doing it all. So I wanted to interview him and I never got to him except a few months ago when I flew to London. And I don't get nervous when I do interviews. With celebrities, I'm usually pretty cool. Even when I do the Oscars red carpet, there's a bit of nerves there, but it's there. The Rock, I'm sitting in a room, me and just another guy waiting to do an interview. And I hear his voice from just down the hall. And I'm like, in my head, that's The Rock. That's The Rock. And then he just gets into my vision. And I just see him standing on the corner. He's big, but you don't realize how big The Rock is. And I'm hearing him just have a conversation to his manager or someone. And I'm really intrigued because I just wanted to hear how The Rock sounds and how he acts when he's not on camera. And it was the same. He was talking about just something to do with a jet or a suit that he needed to wear. There was a few things, but just hearing him how to talk, I'm like, that's the same Rock. And then he just walked straight into the room. I walk in behind him to interview him. It's The Rock, it's Kevin Hart together. And I was like, this is one of the best moments of my life. That's how I started the interview. I was like, one of the best moments of my life.
I can relate to that completely, especially when you're talking about the sheer size of a person. I had that experience with Tony Robbins when he actually came to visit us. And I've been a huge fan of Tony Robbins my entire life. He's really inspired me throughout the years.
Of course.
And the moment he came here, he was also talking about something I could hear his voice. And I was actually slightly nervous then because he's someone I always looked up to.
Of course.
And respected. So I can relate to that. Any other big celebrities you're expecting anytime soon? Anybody that you really want to, who do you want to interview next?
It's interesting. I've interviewed him 4 times now, is Sir Richard Branson, but I always want to interview him again.
What do you find special about Sir Richard Branson? Despite the fact that he's Mr. Virgin,
Because what you see in the media is really him. It's the same person. I have been in situations with Sir Richard Branson where him and I were walking down a hallway and we were doing a media conference, and he's like, so what are we doing? I'm just going to follow you, right? And then we'll go that way. And I'm having this conversation with him, and I'm like, this guy's a legend. Then he just comes out and he's real. He's real. I've known him for 10 years now. I'm that passionate about Virgin. I have the Virgin star tattooed on my ankle. I got that done when I went to Thailand with some Virgin Radio listeners, because Virgin is a huge thing in my life. And I showed him that. I said, hey, Sir Richard Branson, I just want to let you know how much I love your brand. And I want to thank you for doing everything that you did for creating this brand, because this has created my own brand. And it's created everything for me and my children. And I showed him the tattoo, and he was like, is that real? And he goes, yeah. He took a photo of it and put it in the Virgin official newsletter. And then he wrote a 2-page article on my snack company on virgin.com.
Wow.
And he was talking about how he was so happy with my health initiative, because he's also inspired now. He's now become he's always been healthy, but now he's doing a lot of running and he's staying fit. But there's something about that man that just to see how he interacts with people it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see that. And he never stops. He never stops.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, now that you've entered this crazy world of entrepreneurship, what advice would you give entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs?
Okay, I'd say do it. Because a lot of the time you just think you want to do it. But do go in with some sort of plan. The word entrepreneur, which I hear a lot now, and I hear it on podcasts and I hear it on YouTube, and you see it on bios on Instagram, entrepreneur. Entrepreneur, you really need to make sure if you want to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is not something that you just throw around lightly and say, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got an online business, and you go to the website, it doesn't work anymore. There's a lot of people running around using that word. It's not easy. It's so difficult. And I advise people to become one if they find that there is a reason to become one. Find what's missing. Find a gap in the market. Find what is going to help you and other people out. If you find it, create it and execute it. But just be prepared for those 5 a.m. starts, 11 p.m. sleeps, 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and it's never going to stop, because once you're an entrepreneur, and I get to deal with a lot of huge CEOs and guys, I was on an island in the Maldives with the founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph. I spent 2 days with him, had dinner with him, the guy who created Netflix. And I said to him, thanks to you, we have Netflix. And I was having, he did a seminar which I listened to, but then afterwards I sat down with him for a couple of hours and I asked him a bunch of questions. And I said to him, did you ever know where it was going to go? He said, no, I didn't. I had a vision. Did I ever think it was going to get there? I wasn't sure, but I just kept pushing through. I just kept trying. And that's what I want to do. I want to keep trying. So if you're an entrepreneur and you've got something that you think you can do it. A lot of people sit in their job right now and they go, I can't. I've got a job. Do that side hustle. We've heard that word before. Side hustle, do it. Start it on the side. And eventually, that income, it may be $10 a week to begin with, and maintain your regular 9-to-5 job. But that $10 could turn into $100 a week. Then it could turn $1,000 a week. Then you could be doing $2,000, $3,000 a week. And that's the moment where you go, see you later, job. I've got something here.
Absolutely.
But don't just give up everything. Don't just give up the money. If you've got a family and kids, I see this a lot as well. People who have real commitments go, I'm an entrepreneur. And then they go in there and they realize, well, it's not working. They just spent all their money setting up a company, but they didn't do enough homework on the product or the service. And then it doesn't take off. And now they're struggling and they're borrowing money from here to put their kids through school. And stay in a job that's giving you the income, and on the side, see if there's a want or a need for your product. It's a serious thing being an entrepreneur. It's not a joke,
Absolutely.
So if you're going to do it, get in. And I love people to become an entrepreneur.
Well, I really admire what you're doing. I mean, you've got a full schedule. And again, as they say, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but if you can do it, anybody else can do it. You're running your full-time job
Yep.
career with Virgin.
Yep.
You've started a company and managed to actually grow it. So
Yep.
it's not like you're just half doing what you're doing. You're actually growing the company, obviously thanks to your little daughters, who one general manager, one being the CFO. But you've got this going on. You've got Virgin Radio. You've also got being a father as a full-time
100%.
job. And then you're also still finding time for yourself as Kris to go to the gym, stay healthy, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So definitely very inspirational. And I think that alone is a message to a lot of people out there who, try to use the whole time thing as, there's just not enough time. And it's interesting because you've got the same 24 hours a day that I have, that everybody else has, that Sir Richard Branson has, and Will Smith has, and everybody else does. So very inspiring, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
Now, what's next for Kris Fade?
Oof. Yeah, I want to have another baby.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have another baby.
All right. Boy, girl, doesn't matter.
No, well, listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that's pretty real here, actually. Brianna, who will get married at the end of the year here, she doesn't have children. I have two. And I said to her, you want to have a baby? She said, yeah. And then I said to her, okay. I said, I hope I have a boy. I've got two beautiful girls. I said, I'd love to have a little boy running around. She's Mexican-American. I said, come on, half Lebanese, half Mexican boy running around. That would be beautiful.
It'd be crazy enough.
So I had that thought that I wanted to have a boy. And then with the tragic loss that we had earlier on with Kobe Bryant, in that horrible helicopter accident with his gorgeous daughter and those 7 other souls, that moment for me really hit me. I had spent a couple of days with Kobe Bryant in Dubai when he was here. He coached the basketball team that I was on. I had dinner with him up at Atmosphere in the Burj Khalifa. It was only a couple of days, but just he was someone with his presence was so, when he walked into a room, it was like when The Rock walked into the room. He just owned it. But he didn't own it arrogantly. He was actually really calm and polite and nice, but there was something about him. And I had that connection. When those unfortunate circumstances happened with the helicopter, and I woke up in the morning, I was lost. And I was really confused why I was lost. Like, it was hurting. It was like I lost a family member, like a close family member. I was trying to work out why. My friend Brent called me, who played on the same basketball team. And I've known Brent for 10 years. He started crying to me. I've never heard him cry. And he said, I don't know why this is affecting us so much. And I told him, I said, it was something that we'll look back on in our life, that we play basketball with Kobe Bryant. And that's a highlight in our career. That moment that Kobe Bryant walked into the changing rooms and started talking to us. And I said, now that he's gone, it's affected us. So since that happened, Girl Dad, he's a father to just girls. And that was the moment that I said to myself, if I have a boy, fantastic. If I have another girl, bring it on. I'll be a girl dad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there was that moment, and that hit me. It gave me goosebumps now.
I noticed.
You know what I mean? Like, it was a revelation that I just thought, I just want a healthy baby, man. I want a healthy baby.
2 quick questions.
Sure.
We're going to wrap up. What's your favorite music?
Oof.
And this is an interesting one because you work for radio.
Yeah.
Right? What's your interest? What's your favorite music?
Nowadays, everybody want to talk when they got something to say, but nothing comes out when you move your lips. Oh man, hip hop. I got to say, there's something about hip hop, and it's the old school sort of vibe. It's the R&B and hip hop that I love. The Tupac, the Biggies. Obviously, that's something about it. But I play guitar and drums. I grew up as a rock kid. I used to be in a rock band, so there's that rock flavor that I love as well. Working on radio, you sort of become numb to music after a while because you're hearing a lot of the songs all the time. But there are those songs I love. I love Usher. I love a John Legend sort of feel. But, you know, I love old school Nirvana, you know?
Make it a bit harder for you.
Okay.
And you have to pick one.
Okay.
Tupac or Biggie.
My fiance's from LA. I better say Tupac.
Right.
I can't answer it.
Right. Okay.
You know, because I relate music to, I used to relate music to going to a club and dancing. Right. Now I relate music to the gym. Right. It's what song do I put in my headphones that gets me going? You know, More Money, More Problems. Like, as soon as that comes on, I'm like, great, I can do another 7 minutes on this treadmill.
I did notice that The Rock works out a lot to Tupac.
Yeah, there's something about it.
I know, yeah.
Gangster rap makes you want to just train a little bit harder. Mind you, the other day I just had my playlist on, and Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles came up, and I'm training to it.
Girls, right?
Yeah, and what I had to do, because I'm wearing these headphones and I know you can hear the music from the outside, and I'm pumping iron, I'm doing chest, and it's like wake up in the morning, and I got to my phone, I just turned it down just a little bit because I'm thinking to myself, are these guys really going to hear me listening to Vanessa Carlton? But with music, hey, if it sounds good, it is good, you know.
Talk to me about, since you're going to the Oscars soon.
Yeah.
When are you going to the Oscars? In a week, I think.
Yes.
Roughly?
Yes.
Are you excited about that?
It's the fourth time I'll be doing the Oscars for OSN, and it's the biggest red carpet in the world. There is nothing like it. You're there trying to get the attention of every celebrity so you get that interview. You may have you'll have Gwyneth Paltrow, Nicole Kidman, and Salma Hayek walking together, and your mind has to choose, which one do I want? Because you know they're going to continue walking. You got to get the attention. That actually happened. I went for Salma Hayek because she's got Lebanese in her. And I brought her over. I said, Salma, from the Middle East, how you doing? She's like, great. I said, is it true you're Lebanese and Arab? She's like, I am Arab all the way. She gave us a great interview. The Oscars red carpet is fantastic. You're up against all the other networks. I was up against Mario Lopez from Entertainment or E! News. I had BBC on one side, and you've just got to own that carpet to get that interview. It's fun. It's amazing.
So speaking of Oscars, tell favorite movie.
Old school again, Tarantino, Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
I love it. I love for me, it's a story that does that and it just connects, and I'm like, I'm sold.
Kris, we've taken up too much of your time. I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for the wonderful interview, and we really hope to have you here again sometime soon.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. A wonderful interview that I truly, genuinely enjoyed with the amazing one and only Kris Fade. Make sure you tune in to the next episode. This is your host, Omar, signing off. We'll see you next time.